Hello, I'm Nadia Bilchik. This is Georgia Hollywood Review TV. I am here with the awesome Cas Sigers Beedles at Cacao, which is the cutest coffee shop here in Virginia Highlands.
Coffee and chocolate. Like, those are the two things you need in life.
Exactly, and especially for you, because Cas is a prolific writer. So I suppose coffee and chocolate come into play.
They come into play almost nightly. Yeah. Yes.
So you have been writing for a long time, but suddenly everybody's talking about you. There's this buzz around your work. But tell us how it all started and what you're doing right now.
I started off, I've always been a writer. So I think if you're a writer, it's just in you. So I wrote poems when I was a kid. But I started off and I went to school in textiles and fashion and got a fashion degree and was a costumer and worked in film as a costumer. And started writing music video treatments in the 90s. And that's when I started realizing that you could actually make money as a writer. And from there, wrote a book. And my book was given to Terry J. Vaughn, who is now my producing partner with my company, on set. I was a customer and I met her on set and said, "Here's my book, would you read it?" Read it, loved it, took it to her agent. And then the rest is history.
So what can we see that's on air right now, that's streaming, that we can watch, and what can we read?
On air, oh my gosh. So what you can read is a plethora of books on Amazon. So you've got Pieces of a Man, Chocolate Dove, and just 6 other books. I have 7 novels in total. I am actually working on a new novel that I hope to be out 2021.
Are we allowed to say what it's called?
Of course, it's Rediscover Your Cha-Cha. I love that name. About a self-discovery of women, how we lose ourselves in our journey and how do we get that back. So that would be my latest novel. And a lot of my movies are on either Netflix or Amazon. We've got a few on demand right now on BET. They'll run the Christmas movies, I think, through the month of January, possibly top of February.
And the Christmas movies are?
Twas the Chaos Before Christmas and Hip Hop Holiday.
And you're working on Real Divas Initiative. Tell us about that.
So myself, Terry J. Vaughn, my producing partner, and another amazing producer, Ty Johnston Chavis, we got together and we formed an initiative. It started off as we want to take a beautiful picture with our friends. So it's 20 writers, producers, and directors that live in Atlanta or the Atlanta area. And we all have vast careers. And we wanted to take one of the pictures you see like in Glamour and Hollywood, how all the women are like posed and they're black and they look fabulous. And it went from that picture to an initiative. And now it's a full-fledged company. We are producing projects together. We are collaborating with others in producing projects and sharing information. It was kind of the message of we're more powerful together. So we have actually created this collective by which we'll be producing content.
And She the People?
She the People is our first docuseries, and She the People is a political organization created by Amy Allison. They actually have an initiative to galvanize 1 million women of color to vote for the 2020 election. So we'll be working with them and doing a docuseries following Amy on the ground, interviewing grassroots movers and change makers.
So Cas, when you think of film, any great film, there's a great story.
Yes.
And you are a storyteller.
I'm a storyteller.
Is there a theme to your stories? Where do you draw that deep inspiration?
A lot of my inspiration is drawn from women's stories and women's issues and challenges and joys and sorrows in life. We started Nina Holiday to tell women's stories. We wanted to hire women behind the camera. We wanted to tell stories that aren't often seen in front of the camera. And that was the genesis of the company. So most of my stories, they have a message. They have something to say about a woman's journey. And whether it's a drama or whether it's a comedy, that's usually the crux of the story.
So what you're working on right now, do you plot out all the chapters in advance? Do you know what's going to happen to her? Like, share the secret process with us.
It's a little, so for films and movies, books, it's a little different. So for my books, I definitely plot out the whole entire book. Now, whether it ends the way I think it's going to end, sometimes it takes its own turn. However, I definitely do a beginning, a middle, and an end. I don't plot out each individual chapter, but I'll give a light, overview for myself what I want to happen from chapters 1 through 10, and then 10 through 15, and then 15 through 20, or however long the book is. And then from there, I just start writing. For my scripts, I'm a little more detailed because scripts, you have a certain page count that you have to stick to, and it's really more formulaic than books. So for my scripts, I have my characters. I'm very heavy character driven because that's what I love about a good movie, great characters. So I have my characters, and then I write out my entire movie on note cards. by scenes. And I'll have all these note cards, or I'll have these huge tablets that I fill up the dining room with, like these stick-it notes, and I put them all over the dining room, and I literally write down every single scene, and then from each scene, I actually write the film.
And then when it comes to casting,
Yes.
how much of a part do you play in it? So I know you work with Terry Vaughan, and
Yeah.
how does it work?
Sometimes for casting, it's different for different projects. If it's a project, it's a network project, a lot of times they're involved as well. So everybody puts their wish list on the table. Like, this is who I want to play the character. And I give my wish list to the director, and the director usually edits it down from there. And then we hire, a great casting agent. So sometimes your list gets lost in the wind and you don't get your person. But in my head, I put a name or an actor to my character, and I usually write from there. So sometimes I'm a little like, oh, I didn't get that person because that's who I saw playing. But as the writer, sometimes we have to yield to the other sources. We're the very first source, and it goes through a lot of sources before it's made. So.
Now, when you watch Was the Chaos Before Christmas,
Yes.
which is now on BET,
Yes.
do you look at it and say, that was a great movie, I love what they did with it?
Oh, yes. That actually has been one of my favorite projects, Twas the Chaos. It was the script I got the least amount of notes on. And Sherry Shepherd is in it. Sherry Shepherd is hilarious. Affion Crockett and Cynthia McWilliams. So it just had, and Victoria Rowell, it had such an amazing cast of funny people. So it turned out funnier than I actually thought it would turn out. Like, even reading it, it's like, it's funny. But what Terry did directing it, and just the cast in itself, and the production company that came on to actually produce it for Nina Holiday, it was just amazing.
So as we end this time
Yes.
together,
Yes.
advice, guidance for young writers who look at you and say, she's made it, even though it's been a long journey.
It has been a long journey, but my advice would be write. It takes a lot of discipline and patience to write, because you have a lot of alone time, and you have alone time before you'll make any money. So if you want to write and it's challenging for you to even get through the first page, you may not be a writer, because you have to sit for hours at a time and dig deep and find that place within yourself. So I would say, for writers who want to write, or people who are writing, if you've written and nobody's seen your work yet, start producing your work with your friends. Even if it's a short one-page thing, if you're a poet, get online, let people hear your poetry, because when you get the feedback, it fuels you. And it keeps you going. And as a writer, you need that fuel, because, again, a lot of alone time.
Thank you for giving us the fuel. Cas Sigers Beedles, also recently nominated for an NAACP award,
Yes.
and lots more to come from this prolific writer, awesome lady, mom, wife, multi-talented persona.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us here on Georgia Hollywood Review TV at Cacao, here in Virginia Highlands, Atlanta.
You my power, you my treasure, you my weakness, you my pleasure, you my saint, you my sinner. Show me all the ways that we can live forever.